In the quiet hills and bustling towns of Kentucky, some stories never truly end. They become ghosts, lingering in the shadows of unsolved cases. For decades, these files have gathered dust, filled with unanswered questions, and the silent grief of families left behind. A young girl found on a roadside, a business owner shot in broad daylight, an unknown man left without a name for over 30 years. These are not just statistics in a cold case unit, they are the haunting legacies of lives cut short. The trails went cold, witnesses forgot, and physical evidence offered no more clues. Hope began to fade into a painful memory. These cases slept for years, sometimes decades, trapped by the limitations of the forensic science of their time. Investigators hit dead ends. Families marked anniversaries with a somber hope someone would remember. The perpetrators walked free, hidden by time and the absence of a crucial link. But what if the evidence was never truly gone? What if it was simply waiting for the right technology? Today, a revolution is quietly unfolding in forensics labs. In the digital age, new kinds of clues are emerging from the shadows. A microscopic trace of DNA. A single shell casing stored in a database. The faint digital pulse from a fitness tracker. These modern tools are rewriting the endings to Kentucky's coldest cases. They are the unseen evidence, speaking truth long after memory has failed. This is a story about how technology is catching ghosts. It's about the relentless pursuit of justice by investigators who refuse to give up. We will journey into the heart of Kentucky's cold case files, where chilling mysteries are finally being solved. A ballistics match linking Lexington to Texas, genetic genealogy giving a name back to a John Doe. The secrets of the past are finally coming to light. The evidence was always there, waiting to be seen. In the summer of 1998, Lexington, Kentucky, was a city moving with the gentle rhythm of Southern life. Amidst its historic streets and thriving communities, the Nixon Hearing Aid Center on Southland Drive was a place of quiet service. It was run by 61-year-old Roscoe "Rosie" Rutledge, a man known for his kindness and dedication to helping others. He took the time to listen, not just to diagnose hearing loss, but to connect with the people he served, on a seemingly ordinary Tuesday, July 28, 1998, a client arrived for an appointment to find the door to the center locked, which was unusual for the ever-punctual Rosie. The police were called, and when they forced their way inside, they discovered a tragedy that would haunt the city for decades. Rosie Rutledge, the gentleman who had helped so many, had been shot and killed. The motive appeared to be robbery, but the scene was disturbingly clean of definitive clues, leaving investigators with a profound and immediate puzzle. The most critical piece of evidence recovered was a single, .380 caliber shell casing left behind by the killer. With no eyewitnesses to the crime itself and no clear suspect, the investigation quickly faced an uphill battle. The perpetrator had vanished, leaving behind a grieving family, a baffled police force, and a single silent shell casing that held the only key to the truth. 8 years before the tragic murder of Rosie Rutledge, another mystery was taking root in rural Kentucky. On May 1, 1990, the body of an unidentified man was discovered in a wooded area in Daviess County. He became simply Daviess County John Doe, a ghost in the system, his story erased before it could even be told. Without a name, there was no family to notify, no history to investigate, and no clear path to finding his killer. The physical evidence collected from the scene was limited by the forensic technology of the era. The man's identity remained locked away, a secret he took to his grave. The quiet, rural landscape of northern Kentucky became the backdrop for another tragedy. On an autumn day in 1976, the body of 16-year-old Carol Sue Klaber was found in a roadside ditch. She had been brutally murdered. The discovery sent a wave of fear through the close-knit community. The Boone County Sheriff's Office launched an intensive investigation. They chased down rumors and followed every tip, no matter how small. Despite their exhaustive efforts, the investigation stalled. The forensic science of the 1970s could only take them so far. The case file for Carol Sue Klaber was eventually moved to the cold case cabinet. Across these different times and places in Kentucky, a common, terrifying thread emerges: the unseen predator. The perpetrator moves through society like a phantom, leaving devastation but few clues. They exploited the limitations of their era: no vast network of CCTV cameras, no GPS phone data, no national DNA database. For investigators, it's the ultimate challenge. They fight the evidence, the passage of time, and the ghost of a perfect crime. For the families, the years that followed were marked by a painful, unwavering vigil. Life moved on for the rest of the world, but for them, time was frozen. They learned to live with a constant, aching void, a space at the dinner table that would never be filled. The physical evidence from these crime scenes was carefully preserved. They were relics of a violent past, holding secrets that science at the time could not unlock. But the investigators who packed them away did so with a sliver of hope. That one day, these silent pieces of evidence might finally be given a voice. In the years following the initial investigations, detectives found themselves chasing phantoms. One tip pointed to a disgruntled former client. Another pointed to a local drifter. Each lead was meticulously pursued, only to find dead ends. The search for the identity of Daviess County John Doe was equally frustrating. Each brief surge of optimism was replaced by disappointment. Focusing on the wrong suspect cost time and resources, while the real killer stayed hidden in the shadows. For families, each lead was a roller coaster of hope and despair. They dared to believe the next tip would bring answers, only to have hope crushed. This burden was shared by the generations of detectives who inherited these cold case files. A new detective would start with a sense of determination, but they would inevitably run into the same brick walls. The feeling of letting the families down once again was a deeply personal and painful failure. Just as hope began to feel like a fading ember, a quiet revolution was starting to take shape. One of the most significant of these was the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, or NIBIN. For the first time, a shell casing from a murder in Lexington, Kentucky, could be electronically compared to thousands of others from across the nation. At the same time, the field of DNA analysis was making monumental leaps forward. The concept of forensic genetic genealogy was beginning to take shape. The stage was being set for a dramatic turning point, where decades of silence would be shattered by the quiet, irrefutable testimony of unseen evidence. The breakthrough in the Roscoe Rutledge case came from the silent, tireless work of a computer database. In July 2025, 27 years after Rosie's murder, detectives in Lexington received a phone call that would change everything. The call was from the Austin Police Department in Texas. An investigator there had been alerted to a match in NIBIN. The .380 shell casing recovered from the Nixon Hearing Aid Center had found one. The microscopic striations on that single piece of brass were a perfect match to shell casings found at one of the most infamous crime scenes in Texas history, the 1991 Yogurt Shop murders. This revelation was a stunning twist that no one had seen coming. This single ballistic link instantly transformed the Rutledge case from a local, isolated tragedy into a piece of a much larger, more sinister puzzle. The NIBIN hit pointed investigators toward a name: Robert Eugene Brashers. A man with a long and violent criminal history, a transient predator. But the ballistic match was just the beginning. They pulled the original evidence from both crime scenes out of long-term storage. Forensic scientists were able to extract DNA and compare it to biological material that police suspected was from Brashers. The results were definitive. The DNA also matched. While Lexington detectives were unraveling a cross-country murder spree, another technological miracle was quietly unfolding. The case of the Daviess County John Doe was about to be broken wide open by the power of forensic genealogy. Othram scientists used forensic-grade genome sequencing to build a comprehensive DNA profile. Genealogists then got to work to find where branches intersected. Investigators contacted potential living family members and requested help. In April 2024, the results came back. The DNA was a perfect match. After 34 years of silence, the Daviess County John Doe finally had his name back: William Dennis Matthews. The technological twist in criminal justice was not limited to labs. It was also appearing on the wrists of victims. The landmark case of State versus Debate demonstrated a powerful new form of unseen evidence, data from wearable technology. The Fitbit data showed that Connie was alive and moving around inside her home for nearly an hour after the time her husband claimed she had been shot. The digital witness on her wrist had exposed his alibi as a complete fabrication. This legal precedent was a game-changer for investigators everywhere. Detectives now had another tool in their arsenal, another source of unseen evidence to pursue. The culmination of these technological breakthroughs is not just a solved case file, but the long-awaited echo of justice. For the loved ones of Rosie Rutledge, the forensic connection to Robert Eugene Brashers brought a name and a face to the shadow who had haunted them for 27 years. Though Brashers had died in prison, the definitive resolution provided a form of posthumous justice. It officially closed the book on Rosie's murder. For the family of William Dennis Matthews, it moved the case from the cold case cabinet back to the active investigation desk. With his name restored, detectives could now build a victimology, a process that was impossible when he was just a John Doe. Similarly, in Boone County, in March of 2023, the 1976 murder of Carol Sue Klaber was officially solved and closed, bringing an end to nearly a half-century of uncertainty. Each solved case sends a powerful message to other families still waiting. Do not die, do not give up hope. The work of cold case units represents the best of law enforcement's mission. It is a testament to the idea that justice has no expiration date. The perpetrators who believe they have gotten away with their crimes are on borrowed time, for the unseen evidence will keep speaking. It speaks of the lives that were lost, it speaks for the families who have waited, and it speaks to the enduring promise that, no matter how long it takes, justice will have the final word.